Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast, part of the Capitalize Your Best Life Network. My name is Gordon Duncan. I'm the owner of Capitalize Marketing and Consulting, and I'm also the director of the Capitalize Your Best Life Network, where we are here to make a better you. Hey, friends, thanks so much for returning, and also thank you so much for everyone's interest last week, where we talked about surprising insights that happen when you challenge yourself. I shared a couple of stories personally, one specifically about running a 5K in some heat and humidity that taught me a lot about myself. But I appreciate everyone listening and I appreciate everyone's feedback. Also, thank you so much for your interest in the upcoming Capitalize Your Best Life workshop, where we will be looking at finding and fighting the victim mentality. That'll be on October 21st in Fredericksburg, Virginia, from 2 to 4 p.m. I will share that registration link in the show notes. But again, friends, thank you so much. So I had actually planned on doing an episode previewing the upcoming workshop. And I guess I'm just going to put that off to next week, because as I was preparing the episode, I was surprised to remember that October 4th is the 5th anniversary of what my family calls the Big Leap. The Big Leap is when I retired from ministry and then went full-time into Capitalized Marketing and Consulting. If you don't know the story, in 2018, I formed Capitalized Marketing and Consulting. It was really to form a side gig of what I've been doing for years. And now, as I got to that point in 2020, we decided it was time to retire. It was time to go full-time, to dedicate to my family and to dedicate into building some things for ourselves. And here we are 5 years later. Pretty amazing. 5 years ago to this day, I woke up at a lake house in Charlotte. I wanted a few days to reflect, to take into everything that had happened and to jump into the business. I think it's a little bit ironic that I spent my first week on vacation. Maybe that was patterning what I would like life to be. But I've spent some time this week reflecting on what I've learned in the past 5 years. And I wanted to share this with you. So this is not just a reflection episode on my part. Many of you are in the midst of building something right now. And some of you are just getting started. Some of you 5 years. Some of you have been doing this for a long time. And so what I'm hoping is that the reflections that I'm seeing and that I'm learning from these past 5 years will actually be a help and encouragement to you in the thing that you're building. So I took a few notes and getting here. So I'm just going to hop right in. The first thing that I've realized is that number one, that it's harder than you think. When I was doing marketing and consulting, I'm going to drink some coffee here in a minute. When I was doing marketing and consulting as a side gig, that's what it was. I had a job, and then essentially to pay for things that you weren't anticipating, car bills, hospital bills, I would be doing marketing and consulting. And I remember, I think it was in 2017, I got a pretty steady consulting gig doing some HR consulting, and we used that money to buy a new air conditioner for our house. And essentially, the side gig was just to help make ends meet, or maybe to if we need a vacation, I could go work a couple extra days and we could afford a vacation. But here's the thing. When you leave your full-time gig and you become and you make your side gig the full-time gig, which was marketing and consulting, then it's harder than you can imagine. You're not just getting extra money, you're getting the essential money. You have to have the money to pay your bills, to pay your clients, to pay your vendors, to cover overhead, whatever the cost, whatever it may be. And it's one thing when you're just making a little bit of extra money. It's wonderful. It's a completely other thing when you've got to make the money for the family, and it's harder than you think. Because side gig money might be great, might be 5, 10, 15, $20,000, great. But if you're running a household, then all of a sudden you got to go get 100, 120, 150. The company's got to start doing 250. It's got to grow. And then all of a sudden you got everything from taxes to the CPA to everything you can imagine. So, excuse me, it's so much harder than I thought. And the amazing thing is I've been doing some sort of business since 2003. So '03 to 20, I've been doing 17 years of it, but it was always like side gig money. It always was something that was supplemental, not the essential thing. So when it became everything, it became harder. Just primarily because the volume of work that was necessary. And then on top of that, there's the details and the things you can't imagine. I tell folks all the time, I work harder than I've ever worked in my life. I'm happier doing that. But it's harder than I've ever imagined. And I keep finding the hours. Now I'm trying to streamline and like, where's that effort going to its most efficient place? Of course, that's part of the process. But I think what I've learned is that it's harder than I ever imagined. And it's harder in places that I didn't expect. It's one thing to be able to make some side money. It's another thing to then make the money that your family lives off of. Number two, this one's really important. Just when you think you've made it, you haven't. We were very fortunate at Capitalized Marketing. I mean, I wouldn't say we thought we made it, but in the first year, I mean, we skyrocketed past $100,000. We jumped through the six-figure mark quickly, and I think I thought it was going to be easier than it really was. I did. I thought it was going to be easier than it was. And referencing point number one, I worked plenty hard this first couple of years. I'm looking back now and I was like, I could have worked harder. I could have worked more efficiently. I could have worked more focused. Now, I didn't know what I know now, where to direct that energy. But I think if I was doing it over again, I would know where to put the effort. And I wouldn't fool myself into thinking like, and I don't know if I ever had thought, I don't ever thought we've made it, but I think there was a sense of like, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. It was, but I think it was not to the truthful impact I thought it should be, or the thought of the truthful impact it was. So I just got caught up in like the momentum we had, but I could have kept putting fuel to the fire. And again, when you're building your business, if you think you've made it, if you've got that contract, like I've made it, be very careful. Something will change in a minute. I'll just give you an example that everyone's talking about. Chat GPT is 32 months old, right? I wrote a book about it 2 years ago. That book is practically obsolete. It's principally still correct, but so much has changed, and so much has changed in the last month. Chat's just released two new features that people don't even have all access to. Now, that's just for the marketing world, and we've got to deal with that. But just imagine for you, if you think I've made it, something's going to change so quickly that you can't imagine it. And for us, when we look over the 5 years, we've had COVID, we had the resurgence of COVID in '01, then we had the insane inflation rate. I work a lot with real estate agents, so then that became the interest rate. Then we had the whole federal layoff at the beginning of 2025. Right now, the government is shut down. If you think you've made it, you haven't. And don't ever lull yourself into that. You've got to keep pressing. So one, it's harder than you think. Two, don't ever think you've made it. When you think you've made it, you're in trouble. And then number three is avoid massive time distractions. Wow. I think this is the biggest one for me. I can look back and I can see people and I can see involvements that were massive distractions, just a massive wasting of time, or just the mental energy going into something, trying to, business relationships I was trying to maintain, or business relationships I was chasing after, or networking groups that became a waste of time. I just I can just think of two or three right now where I look back and I'm like, wow, what a waste of time. Some of them I probably justified thinking that they were actually bringing about something good, and maybe they did, but I look back now, I'm like, man, what a waste of time. And I think if we can see those before they happen, if we can look at something and as best as possible go, be careful here, this is a massive time suck, this is a massive distraction. If we can avoid them, our businesses are going to be greater on track. So when I reflect at my 5 years, I could keep going and going, but these were the first three that came to mind that I think were practical to be helpful for you. Three lessons I've learned 5 years in that I think will be helpful for you is one, it's harder than you think Two, just when you think you've made it, you're in trouble. Don't ever think that. And three, avoid those massive distractions. I think if you can do that, you're going to definitely find a greater focus and avoid some of the errors that I've made. So, friends, thank you again for tuning in. We've got the Wednesday Capitalize Your Best podcast, which is, of course, helping you grow your revenue and your marketing. And we just relaunched the Friday You're Entitled to Your Opinion podcast, which is just fun. That's just reviewing genre movies and TV shows and books. I needed to do something that was just lighthearted and fun. So the network now is up to 3 shows a week. But which is where I started with This Is Going to Hurt, by the way. I did 3 shows a week when we first got launched. And now we just have 3 different separate shows that have different focus, different people and targeted audience. But friends, thank you. Please register for the October 21st, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Finding and Fighting the Victim Mentality. I would love to see you there. If you're here in Fredericksburg, Virginia, it is local only. We do not stream those. So I would love to see you there. And as always, friends, thanks for tuning in. And I will talk to you again next week. Thanks, friends. Bye-bye.